I never thought it would happen to me. After 9 years of marriage, the signs were subtle: late nights, secretive texts, changed passwords. Then I found the truth. Her betrayal shattered everything I believed in. This is my story of heartbreak, confrontation, and learning to reclaim my life. If you've ever felt lost after discovering a spouse's lies, this one's for you. Hey Reddit. I'm not the type to air my dirty laundry online, but I honestly don't know where else to go. I've been lurking on this subreddit for a while, and never thought I'd be posting here myself. Yet here I am, typing this out at 2 a.m. with a half-empty bottle of whiskey on my desk and my heart in pieces. I could use some advice, or maybe just an outlet to finally let all this out. I've been married to my wife, Natalie, for almost 9 years. We met at a college party, of all places. I was the quiet guy who brought beer and didn't talk much, and she was the loud, laughing girl dancing barefoot in the grass. I was drawn to her energy, her confidence, her fire. For years, that fire made life exciting. We were that couple everyone said was so in sync. And for a long time, I truly believed that. We built a life together. Bought a house just outside of Denver. Got a dog. Traveled a little when we could afford it. Nothing too glamorous, but it was ours. I work in IT and she's in marketing. She's always been more of a people person, and that worked for us. Or so I thought. But looking back now, I think the signs were always there. Subtle, like a light flickering in a room you keep forgetting to fix. It started with little things. She began working late more often. At first it made sense: new clients, tight deadlines. I didn't question it. She's ambitious. That's one of the reasons I fell in love with her. But then the late nights turned into weekends, networking, at bars with coworkers I'd never met. She stopped talking to me as much when she got home. No more silly "Guess what happened today?" stories. No more spontaneous hugs while I did dishes. Conversation started feeling like interviews. I'd ask how her day went and get "fine" in response, then she'd bury herself in her phone. Always smiling at something on the screen, but never sharing. I told myself it was just a phase. Maybe she was stressed. Maybe we were just settling into that middle of marriage rut people warned me about. So I tried to do better. I cooked more. Took the dog out so she could sleep in. I even planned a weekend getaway to the mountains. But every attempt to connect was met with some vague excuse or half-hearted smile. Then something happened that started to eat at me, something I just couldn't shake. She changed her phone password. So yeah, her changing the phone password was the moment that really made my gut tighten. Before that, we never had each other's phone passwords. It was just this unspoken trust thing. But we'd both left our phones lying around without a second thought. One night, maybe a month and a half ago, I saw her sitting on the couch, texting. She had this little smirk on her face. The kind of smirk she used to give me back when we were flirting at parties. I leaned over, half joking, and said, "Who's got you smiling like that?" She didn't even look up. Just locked her phone, stuffed it into the couch cushion, and said, "Just a meme." I didn't press her then, but that night, while she was showering, I picked up her phone. I wasn't trying to spy at first, I just had this uneasy feeling I couldn't explain. When I tried to unlock it though, the passcode had changed. No more swipe. No more simple 1234. Like it used to be. Just locked. Now, I'm not a paranoid guy by nature, but that set something off in me. I felt this slow burn of suspicion crawling under my skin. The kind you try to ignore, but it keeps itching, gnawing at your peace. The next day, I asked her casually, "Hey, you changed your phone password?" She shrugged. "Yeah, had to. Someone at work almost saw me typing it in. Didn't want to risk it with all the confidential stuff." Sounded reasonable, right? But her body language said something else. She was picking at her thumbnail, not making eye contact. I know her tells. She does that when she's lying, or nervous. I brushed it off at the time, but I started paying more attention after that. Not in a creepy, overbearing way. I just noticed things. Like how she always took her phone with her. Even to the bathroom. Like how she suddenly had a second, work bag, she never let me touch. Or how she started dressing up more, nails always done, new lingerie tags I found in the trash, but that I never saw her wear around me. The kicker? One Saturday morning, I went out to start my car, and her phone was accidentally connected to the Bluetooth from the night before. As soon as the engine turned over, a message popped up on the screen. "Can't stop thinking about last night. You're addictive." I froze. Hands on the steering wheel. Heart thudding like a drum in my ears. The message was from someone named I didn't even know what to do. I sat there for 15 full minutes, just staring at the screen, waiting to wake up or throw up, whichever came first. When I walked back inside, she was in the kitchen, sipping coffee like nothing happened. And suddenly, I couldn't look at her the same way. After that message popped up, everything inside me shifted. I couldn't pretend anymore. I didn't say anything that morning. I needed time to think, to breathe, to make sure I wasn't seeing things through some warped, emotional lens. But let me tell you, once that thread was loose, I couldn't stop pulling. I started paying attention like never before. And when I say attention, I mean everything. I started checking timestamps, comparing what she said she was doing to where she actually was. I even started jotting notes in my phone, dates, times, weird excuses she gave. I felt like a detective in my own marriage. I know how that sounds. But when you've been with someone for nearly a decade and suddenly everything feels off, your mind doesn't rest. It spins. And mine was spinning like hell. That night, while she slept, I did something I never thought I'd do. I went through her second work bag. Tucked in one of the inside pockets was a prepaid phone. Like a burner. The kind you see in crime shows. I felt like I was in one of those shows myself. My hands were shaking as I turned it on. There were only a few apps. Messages, a music app, calculator. I opened the text and that's when it all clicked. Dozens of messages from. Some tame, but a lot of them weren't. Stuff like, still thinking about your body on my desk. I wish you could stay the night next time. He doesn't deserve you. I never stop craving you. The timestamps were from nights she told me she was working late, or grabbing drinks with coworkers. One message broke me. He almost caught me today. I hate lying, but I can't give you up. I stared at that screen for what felt like forever. I didn't cry. Not then. I just sat there, holding this stranger's phone that belonged to my wife, reading words that felt like they were melting everything I believed about our marriage. The next morning, I woke up early and made her breakfast like I always did on Sundays. Eggs, bacon, her favorite hazelnut coffee. She smiled like nothing had happened. Kissed me on the cheek, told me I was sweet. I wanted to scream. But I needed more. I wasn't ready to confront her yet. I needed to know who Em was. So I started digging into her office life. I knew some of her coworkers from holiday parties, but Em? No last name, no face. Until I scrolled her LinkedIn and found a Marcus L. A newer guy from out of state she'd recently started mentioning here and there. A few. Marcus said this. Or, Marcus handled that client. I had a name. And soon I'd have answers. With the name Marcus L., I went full-on CIA. I don't even know what possessed me, but something in me needed to see this guy's face. I needed to know what kind of man my wife was sneaking around with. His LinkedIn was clean, professional, normal. Smiling headshot. Business Development Manager. Late 30s. Nothing screamed homewrecker. But who knows what anyone is like behind a desk and a button-up shirt. I scrolled deeper, connections, posts, tagged photos. That's when I saw it. Someone had posted a group photo from a recent marketing conference. It was Marcus and Natalie, standing next to each other. His hand wasn't on her waist, but it was too close. And the way she was leaning in toward him? It wasn't coworker casual. It was intimate. Way too intimate for someone who's just friends with a colleague. That picture was only a few weeks old. She told me she was in Chicago for a client meeting, and that she barely left the hotel. Funny. She looked pretty lively in that cocktail dress, grinning like she didn't have a husband waiting at home. I took screenshots of everything. The text from the burner phone. The LinkedIn picture. The dates. I was building a case. Why? I don't know. Maybe part of me still hoped I was wrong. Maybe I wanted undeniable proof in her own words, in her own image, in her own lies. Fast forward to the next Friday night. She came home late again, perfume thick on her skin, smiling like she just had the time of her life. I asked her how work went. She sighed. Ugh. So long. Marcus forgot a client file and we had to scramble to fix everything. Total nightmare. I looked her dead in the eye and said, Did he forget it before or after you slept with him on his desk? Her smile dropped like a brick. Just gone. Her eyes froze, wide for a second, and then narrowed fast. What the hell are you talking about? I pulled out the burner phone from the drawer. I had it charged and ready. I set it on the table like it was a loaded gun. Her face turned white. Where did you get that? I could ask you the same thing. She tried to grab it, but I pulled it back. Sit down. And she did. That's when it all came out. But not in the way I expected. She didn't apologize. She didn't cry or beg. Instead, she got defensive. Angry. Said it wasn't what I thought. And I was snooping. And blowing things out of proportion. I was lonely. She snapped. You've been emotionally checked out for months. That's when I did get angry. Emotionally checked out. I planned a weekend trip. I've been the one cooking, cleaning, asking you if you're okay while you're off hooking up with some smooth-talking clown from work. She rolled her eyes. You're always so dramatic. That one word, dramatic, cut deeper than anything else. Like I was the crazy one for reacting to her betrayal. That was the first time I realized something. This wasn't a mistake. She didn't slip up. She made a choice. And she didn't regret it. After she called me dramatic, I just sat there, staring at her. I couldn't even form words. The woman sitting across from me wasn't the same Natalie I married. Or maybe she was, and I had just been too blind to see it. I asked her one question. How long? She crossed her arms and shrugged like we were discussing the weather. I don't know. 6 months? Maybe 7. That casual tone, like she was bored of the conversation, made my blood boil. 7 months? I repeated. You've been sneaking around with him for 7 months, lying to my face, and you don't even flinch? She finally looked at me, annoyed. What do you want from me? I told you the truth. Isn't that what you wanted? No apology. No guilt. Just attitude. Like I was inconveniencing her. You lied to me every single day, I said, barely keeping my voice steady. You made me feel like I was the problem. I blamed myself. I thought you were just stressed. I thought I wasn't doing enough. Meanwhile, you were getting railed in hotel rooms by Marcus, the marketing guy? That got a reaction. She stood up, eyes blazing. Don't talk to me like I'm some slut. Then stop acting like one. I snapped. She gasped, like I'd slapped her. Good. Maybe a verbal slap was the only thing she'd understand. Then she said something that truly blew my mind. I didn't cheat because of Marcus. I cheated because you're boring. Let that sink in. I wasn't angry anymore. I was stunned. She continued. You do the same thing every day. Your safe, predictable routine. Marcus makes me feel alive. He's spontaneous. He listens. You just exist. I stood up, heart pounding. I gave you everything. I worked my ass off so we could have a home. I supported you through every job change, every meltdown. I made you my life. And that's the problem. She hissed. You have no life outside of me. It's exhausting. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something, break something, anything to match the storm going off inside my chest. But I didn't. Instead, I took a breath and said, You're right. She blinked. Wait, what? You're right. I repeated. I did make you my life. That was my mistake. And now I'm done making it. I walked past her and went to our bedroom. Grabbed my keys. My laptop. My wallet. A bag I hadn't used since our last trip. She stood frozen, watching me pack. Where are you going? She asked. I don't know yet. But not here. She laughed bitterly. So you're just going to run away? No, I said quietly. I'm walking away. There's a difference. And with that I left. That night, I crashed at my buddy Kyle's place. He's one of those friends you don't talk to every day, but when your world falls apart, he hands you a beer, throws a blanket on the couch, and doesn't ask a single question until you're ready to talk. I sat there for a while in his living room, staring at the wall. I think I was still in shock. Numb. Like my brain hadn't caught up to the fact that everything I thought I knew about my marriage was fake. Eventually, I told him what happened. His face turned red. Dude, I always had a weird feeling about her. Never said anything 'cause you looked happy, but man, screw her. That's cold. I didn't say much. Just nodded. Took a swig of beer. Tried to keep the bile in my stomach from coming up again. The next morning, I woke up on the couch to a text from Natalie. So I guess this is it? You're just going to ghost me? Ghost her? She cheats on me for months and I'm the bad guy because I walked out? I didn't respond. 2 hours later, another message. We should talk. You owe me that much. Owe her? I owe her? I ignored it. She started blowing up my phone. Calls. Texts. Voice messages. Some were angry, some fake sweet. One was just her sobbing. But none of it sounded sincere. It was like she wasn't sorry she cheated, she was sorry I found out. By the afternoon, she sent another message. Fine. If you won't come talk, I'll come to you. I told Kyle, and he practically jumped off the couch. Nope. She's not coming here. I've got kids, man. I'm not getting dragged into this mess. You need to figure out what you want to do, and fast. And he was right. I couldn't just squat on his couch forever. So I told Natalie. We'll meet in public. Tomorrow. Somewhere neutral. Her reply came fast. Fine. Coffee place on Main? Noon? I agreed. But my stomach was in knots. I didn't know what I'd say. I didn't know what she'd say. All I knew was, I wasn't going back to that house unless it was to pack my things. The next day, I showed up early at the cafe. Not because I was eager to see her, but because I didn't want to walk in and have to look for her. I wanted to be seated, steady, calm. Or at least appear that way. She walked in right on time, dressed like she was going to brunch with friends. Hair done. Makeup on point. Like nothing had happened. Like this was just a casual Sunday meetup between old friends instead of a post-betrayal reckoning. She sat down across from me without even saying hello. Just crossed her legs and said, "So, what now?" I stared at her, completely blank. That was her opening line. No apology. No remorse. No. I messed up. Just what now? I took a slow sip of coffee and said, "You tell me." She scoffed. "You're the one who left. You're the one who cheated." We locked eyes for a second. Hers were cold, defensive. Like she came to win an argument, not mend a marriage. She said, "Look, I made a mistake. It got out of hand. I didn't mean for it to turn into anything serious." I blinked. "You told him I didn't deserve you. That you couldn't give him up. That sounds pretty serious." She looked away. "It was stupid. I was stupid. I got caught up in the attention. He made me feel like, I don't know, like I mattered again." I leaned forward. "You mattered to me. You just didn't care." She shook her head. "It wasn't about you. It was about me needing something different. You're a good guy, but it got boring. Predictable. Every day was the same." I nodded slowly, letting the words sink in. "Okay," I said. "Then this is me doing something different. I'm done." That got her attention. Her face twisted, part surprise, part anger. "You're just going to throw away 9 years? Just like that?" "No," I said calmly. "You threw it away. You just didn't expect me to walk away from the fire." Her eyes welled up a little then, but I couldn't tell if it was sadness or panic. "Maybe both. Maybe either," she said. "We can fix this. We can go to therapy. I'll cut off Marcus. I swear." "You had months to end it," I said, voice tight. "You only want to fix it now because I finally called you out." Silence hung between us. The hum of espresso machines, the clink of mugs, the quiet conversations at other tables, none of it reached us. We were in our own little battlefield. She finally muttered, "So what, divorce? That's what you want?" I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Yeah. That's exactly what I want." After I said the word divorce, she just sat there. Frozen. Like the gravity of the situation finally caught up to her. "You're really serious?" she said, voice barely above a whisper. "Dead serious," I replied. I already started looking up lawyers. I didn't mention that I'd actually emailed one the night I stayed at Kyle's, asking for a consultation. That was my first real step toward freedom, even if it didn't feel like it at the time. She leaned back, arms crossed tight. "So that's it? You're just done? You were done the moment you let another man touch you," I said. "You just didn't have the guts to say it." She exhaled sharply, like I'd punched the air from her lungs. "Wow," she muttered, then looked out the window. "You know, for someone who claims to love me so much, you gave up pretty damn fast." That was rich. "I didn't give up," I said, voice shaking from the restraint it took to not raise it. "I stayed when you pulled away. I stayed when you stopped talking to me. I stayed through every late night, every lie, every excuse. I fought for us. You were the one who gave up when you spread your legs for Marcus." The whole cafe could have gone silent, and I wouldn't have noticed. My hands were clenched under the table. She blinked hard, like she wanted to cry but refused to let herself. Finally, she stood up. "I guess there's nothing else to say." I looked up at her. "No, there isn't." She hesitated, then grabbed her purse and walked out the door without another word. No goodbye. No apology. No look back. And just like that, 9 years of marriage ended over a half-finished cup of coffee. I sat there for a few minutes after she left. I think part of me expected to feel triumphant. Like I had won some kind of moral battle. But all I felt was hollow. I walked back to my car in a daze. Sat there staring at the steering wheel for who knows how long. My phone buzzed, a text from Kyle. "You good?" I typed back. "Getting there." Then I drove away. Not home. Not yet. I didn't even know where I was headed. But at least I wasn't lost in her lies anymore. The days after that coffee shop conversation were some of the weirdest, quietest days of my life. I moved into a short-term rental, Just a basic one-bedroom place with beige walls and a cheap couch that squeaked when you sat down too fast. It wasn't much, but it was mine. No lies. No secrets. No pretending. I slept like hell the first few nights. I'd wake up sweating, heart racing, thinking I'd heard her voice or felt her beside me. But then I'd remember where I was. Alone. And honestly, that realization started to feel like a relief. I called the divorce lawyer I'd been emailing. His name was Chris, and he had the kind of calm, even tone that made you feel like maybe your whole world wasn't falling apart. I met with him that Friday. He asked the usual questions: how long we were married, any kids, thank God, no assets, accounts, property. The only big item was the house. And Natalie was still living in it. Do you want to keep the house? He asked. I laughed bitterly. No. I just want peace. He nodded like he'd heard that line 100 times. Maybe he had. I gave him the burner phone as evidence. The texts. The photos. Everything. He said it could be useful if she tried to fight back financially or dispute the divorce terms. Meanwhile, Natalie started texting again. More frequently now. More emotional. Less angry. We were supposed to grow old together. I made a mistake. One stupid mistake. Can we just talk before we throw everything away? I didn't respond. Then came the guilt trips. You're really going to let a good marriage end over one mistake? We were more than this. You know we were. I never stopped loving you. That last one? That one made me pause. Just for a second. Because a part of me still wanted to believe it. Still wanted to rewind time. Still wanted the version of Natalie I thought I married. But I couldn't pretend anymore. Not after everything I'd seen. Not after watching her lie with a straight face, gaslight me, and blame me for her choices. So I blocked her number. It felt like cutting off a limb. But it also felt like pulling a splinter out of my soul. A few days after blocking Natalie, I came home from work and found a note taped to my apartment door. I don't know what else to do. Please talk to me. I don't want to lose you forever. No signature. Just her handwriting. I didn't need to guess. I crumpled it up and tossed it straight in the trash. That might sound harsh, but I knew what she was doing. She wasn't coming clean, she was panicking. She'd lost control of the narrative. That's what this was really about. And I'll admit, the silence that followed was almost eerie. After weeks of lies, gaslighting, and manipulation, suddenly there was nothing. No more texts. No more phone calls. No accidental run-ins. Just quiet. It should have felt like peace. And in a way it did. But it also left space for the grief to hit me full force. I started remembering all the good moments, vacations, movie nights, the way she used to fall asleep on my chest. Those memories didn't disappear just because she betrayed me. And that's the part that messes with your head the most. The love was real. At least it felt real. And now, every sweet memory had a bitter aftertaste. That Friday, I met with the lawyer again. Natalie had officially been served with divorce papers. According to Chris, she didn't contest the terms. No fighting over the house. No requests for alimony. Just a simple signature and a single-word reply through her attorney. Regretful. Regretful. I don't even know what to say about that. It felt like too little, too late. Like apologizing after burning down a house and expecting the charred frame to be livable again. The weirdest part? I started running into people who knew. Word had spread. One of her coworkers, apparently not a big fan of hers, told a mutual friend, and it trickled down fast. The whispers started. One friend of mine, Jess, someone Natalie used to call fake, texted me out of the blue. Heard what happened. I always thought she was too full of herself. You deserve better, man. It caught me off guard. People seeing me as a victim wasn't something I was used to. But it made something inside me click. This wasn't my shame to carry. I didn't ruin the marriage. I didn't cheat. I didn't lie. I just believed in someone who didn't deserve it. After everything settled, legally and emotionally, I realized I had a choice. I could let this break me, or I could build myself back up. At first, I wasn't sure what building back up looked like. I barely recognized the guy staring back at me in the mirror. Tired eyes. A jaw clenched from holding back anger and sadness. Clothes that didn't fit right anymore. So I started small. I joined a local gym. Not to get ripped or anything, just to feel something other than pain for an hour a day. The sweat was a kind of therapy. The weights reminded me I still had strength. I reconnected with old friends I'd lost touch with over the years, especially those who always warned me about Natalie's shady behavior but whom I'd ignored because I trusted my wife. I also started therapy. Yeah, I was skeptical at first. Thought it was for people with bigger problems. But talking to someone who didn't judge, who just listened, helped me unpack months of bottled up hurt. Slowly, the anger softened into acceptance. The sadness turned into hope. And the biggest surprise? I started dating again. Not right away. Not wildly or recklessly. But carefully, cautiously, like testing the water in a cold pool. I'm not gonna lie, it's weird. Awkward. Scary sometimes. But it's also exciting. Like I'm finally remembering how to be me again. Natalie? I still have moments where I replay everything and wonder, what if? But mostly, I'm learning that I deserve better. That I am enough. If you're reading this because you're going through something similar, here's what I want you to know. You're not crazy for feeling hurt. You're not weak for asking for help. And you're definitely not alone. Sometimes, the people we love the most are the ones who hurt us the worst. But that doesn't mean we have to stay broken because of them. Keep your head up. It gets better. Just when I thought I had the worst behind me, life threw me a curveball. A few weeks ago, out of the blue, Marcus, the guy who had shattered my marriage, sent me a message on LinkedIn. At first, I thought it was a prank or some kind of weird spam. But no. He wanted to talk. Apologize. Explain. I debated ignoring it. But curiosity, and maybe a dash of anger, got the better of me. We ended up meeting for coffee, not the kind of coffee shop showdown like with Natalie, but a quiet, civil place. Marcus admitted everything. Said it was a mistake, a moment of weakness. Said he didn't want to be that guy. But he got caught up in the thrill and didn't think about the consequences. He looked tired, like someone who'd been carrying a heavy weight around for a while. I asked him why he didn't tell me himself, why he hid it. He shrugged. Because I'm a coward, honestly. And because I knew you wouldn't forgive me. We talked for an hour. No yelling. No insults. Just two guys who had been through a nightmare they never asked for. I told him I wasn't looking for revenge or to break his life. But I needed him to understand the damage he'd caused. He nodded, solemn. I do. Walking away from that meeting, I felt lighter. Not healed, but a little less burdened. It's weird how closure sometimes comes from the most unexpected places. After the meeting with Marcus, something inside me shifted. I realized the real battle wasn't just with my ex or him, it was with myself. For so long, I blamed myself for not seeing the signs, for not being enough, for somehow failing as a husband. But now I'm starting to understand that sometimes people's choices aren't about us at all. Sometimes, they're about their own emptiness, their own selfish needs. I've been focusing on rebuilding my trust, the trust in my own judgment, in my instincts, in my worth. It's been slow. Some days I still get hit with waves of anger or sadness. But then I remind myself, I survived this. I'm still standing. And I'm proud of that. I've also started volunteering at a local support group for people going through divorces. Helping others share their stories has helped me find strength in mine. It's strange, but losing my marriage has given me a new purpose. If you're reading this and feeling broken, remember, healing isn't linear. You'll stumble, fall, and get back up again. And that's okay. You're stronger than you know. Looking back on all of this, the lies, the betrayal, the heartbreak, there are some lessons I've learned the hard way. Trust your gut. If something feels off, don't ignore it. I wish I had paid more attention sooner instead of making excuses. Communication is everything. Not just talking, but really listening. We stopped doing that a long time ago, and it cost us dearly. Don't lose yourself. It's easy to make your partner your whole world, but you have to keep your own identity and passions alive. People reveal their true selves over time. Sometimes what you see at first isn't the whole story. Be open-eyed, not blind with love. Healing takes time. You won't wake up one day suddenly okay. It's a process, and it's messy. It's okay to ask for help. Whether it's friends, family, or professionals, you don't have to carry the weight alone. Most importantly, I learned that I deserve honesty, respect, and love. And if someone can't give me that, it's on them, not me. If you're going through something similar, hang in there. It sucks now, but it won't always. And when you're ready, don't be afraid to start over. So here I am, almost 6 months later, typing this out with a clearer head and a lighter heart. I'm still healing, still rebuilding, but I'm moving forward. I've found new hobbies, reconnected with old friends, and even started dating cautiously. I'm learning to trust again, not just others, but myself. I don't hate Natalie. I'm sad for her, for what she lost, and for the choices she made. But I've made peace with walking away. Because sometimes love isn't enough when trust is broken beyond repair. If you're reading this because you're in a similar situation, here's my advice. Listen to your instincts. Don't be afraid to seek support. Give yourself time to heal. And remember, your worth isn't defined by someone else's betrayal. Thank you for letting me share my story. It helped me more than I expected. Stay strong, Reddit. You're not alone.